Hi everyone, welcome to the Invention session for Portfolio 2, the evaluation essay. We're going to treat this session as if we're in class, so I want you to be working in your process notebook. Make sure that you're handwriting all of your responses from this presentation. As I move through each slide, I'll read over the material, talk about it a little bit, and then I'll give you an opportunity to pause the lecture as you need to along the way so you can complete the task at hand in your process notebook. When we reach the end, you can hold on to save all that material in your process notebook before you move on in the module. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to focus on before we get into the particulars of your topic, your chosen topic, and the genre of your movie, I want to generate some ideas. I want you to generate some ideas about the larger conversation that is taking place here. Thinking about movies themselves, kind of the reason why it's important for us to evaluate films, to think about the value or the worth, in particular, of movies in general. So here's the question that I want you to work on first in your process notebook. Consider this question. What do movies offer us besides entertainment? What can we learn from them about ourselves and about the world? So take a few moments to consider those two questions. I want you to make a list. Much like we did with the first essay, spend a little time creating a list, thinking about movies outside of the confines of entertainment, and what can we learn from them about ourselves. So pause the lecture here, make a list of at least 10 ideas, and then from that list, I want you to explore 2 of those in a little bit more detail. Write a paragraph or 2 about 2 that you feel are the most important to you. All right. Moving on, I want to address the movie genres, discuss and redefine movie genre and their conventions. We spent some time in class talking about movie genres and the conventions or the expectations that people have regarding movie genres. The most important aspect of this assignment is making sure that you are moving from the general to the specific. Just like with any topic, with any essay topic, you always want to try to be as specific as possible. So when you're thinking about the genre of your movie, when you're thinking about the conventions of that particular genre, how specific can you be? The example that we used in class was comedy. Comedy is very broad. There are a lot of different subgenres that kind of fill the expectations of a comedy to be funny, which is really the most generic expectation we can have about a comedy film. What kind of comedy film is it? Is your movie is it a teen movie? Is it a raunchy comedy? Is it a satire? Think about ways that you can narrow down the genre to be more specific. And that will help you create a list of conventions that will also be a little bit more specific. Comedies are supposed to be funny, but what kind of humor is it? Why is that particular kind of humor important to that particular genre? So that's just one example. I want you to be thinking about that, and we'll continue to discuss and refine these genres and conventions as we move through the revision process. All right, moving on. In your process notebook, first part here is a free write. I want you to spend about 5 minutes. You can time yourself on your phone, just keep an eye on the clock, but you'll pause the lecture and recall and retell as many parts of your movie's summary as you can remember. It doesn't have to be in order. It doesn't have to be every single scene, just as much as you can remember. I want you to retell as many parts of the movie as you can. Characters, scenes, dialogue, whatever it is. So pause here and work on that for the first 5 minutes. Okay, moving on. The next one in another free write in your process notebook, this next 5 minutes. Considering movie conventions. What are your personal expectations for a movie in the same genre as your choice? So if you're identifying yours as a teen comedy, if you're identifying it as a horror or as a fantasy film, a superhero action movie, whatever it is, what are your own personal expectations for a movie like that? List as many movie conventions as you can. This is where you are going to start working through a list of the support points that you want to talk about. The more you have, the more you'll have to choose from. That way you can choose the best ones that will fill your essay, fill the body of your essay. So pause here and work on this for the next 5 minutes. Okay, on to the next part 2. I would like you to find someone to share your topic with. This can be a roommate, a sibling, a parent, a friend. It doesn't matter. I just want you to be spending some time talking about it openly rather than just working on it yourself. Normally in class we'd be doing this in group discussion, but now since we're not in class, find someone to talk about it with. If you don't have anyone available to you right now, that's totally fine. You can come back to this part 2 after you're done, but at some point I want you to be discussing and sharing your topic. Discuss the conventions of your movie's genre, other movies within that genre. Ask them to help you explore more ideas for conventions or the expectations of your movie's genre. So pause here and work on that section. Okay, the next part will be reflection. This part 3. I want you to reflect on the discussion that you just had and give you a few questions here to consider. What did you discuss about your movie and its genre? What did you uncover or discover that is new? How does this change your understanding of your movie's genre? Focus on those 3 questions. I want you to just write a few paragraphs in reflection, thinking about the new ideas you came up with, some new angles that you might be considering as far as the genre goes, things that you didn't think about that the conversation brought up for you. Pause it here and work on this step. Okay, once again, let's talk about purpose statement. The purpose statement, of course, being that single sentence, that statement that you are creating for writer's use. This is your guide for helping you stay focused. It's going to be addressing the critical framework. You're looking at purpose, audience, role, medium, thinking more specifically about what your essay is trying to do. So as you work through this step, I want you to write your purpose statement for your planned essay. And I give you here the sort of the introduction to it. The purpose of this evaluation essay is to do what? So be specific here. Are you arguing for or against the value or the worth of this movie? In what genre? Why do you feel that way? Think about that, work on a purpose statement, pause here, and complete this step. The last step in the process, complete the invention work outside in your process notebook here. Normally this would be the one step outside of class, but I'm going to ask you to, of course, do this now. In the textbook, you'll see on pages 319 and 320 that there are sets of questions in different categories. There's discovering the purpose, applying criteria, I want you to be working with these questions, the group of questions in discovering the purpose, the group of questions under applying criteria. These responses should be no less than one detailed and thoughtful paragraph per question. So this will be the step that will take the most time. I want you to be spending time with this. You can pause the lecture here and work on these, or finish out the last remaining minute or so of this lecture and then come back to this step 5. But this should take you the most time because I want you to be focusing in on the importance of these questions, the importance of the purpose and the criteria. These are the questions that are going to help you develop most of the ideas that will help to ground and bring some purpose to the body paragraphs of your paper. So pause it here and work on those. Okay, so process notebook checklist. These are the things you should have in your process notebook when you come to conference next week. Make sure you have completed all 5 of these steps. You can return, of course, to this lecture as often as you want and scan through it to pick up any pieces along the way that you might have missed or that you want to revisit. Make sure that you're saving all that invention work. I will be checking your process notebook during our conference. And the next step, of course, is to begin your draft. Make sure that you're using the information that you've created here. Don't just set the process notebook aside and work on your draft without using it as a guide, using the process notebook as a guide to help you develop that first draft. Good luck. Make sure that you ask questions, and I will see you during conference.